Welcome back. I'm Matt Gilmore, sitting in for Aaron Rand today. Parents at an Outremont school have been fighting for years for more protection around their children's school. Last year, in June, they managed to convince the city to actually close down the street in front of the school, and they say the results were incredible. Now they want the rest of the city to take note. Taras Grescoe is the author of Straphanger, Saving Our Cities and Ourselves from the Automobile, and joins me now. Hi, Taras. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing, Matt?
I'm good, thanks. Listen, so your child goes to, it's L'École Alternative Nouvelle Carbe, right, in Outremont?
It's a French language elementary school. My eldest used to go there. He's now in a nearby high school, and my youngest is still there.
Okay.
It's on a narrow street called Rue de l'Épée. There's another private elementary school right across the street from it, and another block away there's another elementary school. So all together,
right,
there are 900 kids coming in every morning of the school year. So and they're leaving, too, in the afternoon.
So paint a picture, then, what it was like, 9 o'clock in the morning on a weekday. You've got these 900 students coming in, this narrow road. What's it like there in front of the school before the street was closed?
Well, I always found it like a bit of a rodeo. It was like it's a one-way street. And everybody wanted to have sort of rock star parking. They wanted to drop their kids off right in front of the door. There are other streets nearby. There's Bloomfield, which is right nearby, the next parallel street where you can drop your kids off, and also Fairmount. We just wanted to close this one stretch of street where the bike racks are and where a lot of kids arrive on foot. That's where the most conflicts were happening. All the parents of the school saw near misses where kids were almost clipped by cars. So for the last 4 years, we've been trying to convince the Outremont Borough Council to do at least a pilot project, and that's what we did. We closed off, in June, we closed off basically 50 meters of the street, a short stretch, and it's been renewed this fall, but only until October 10th. And we'd love to see this extended. There's about 200 streets like this in Paris right now, and there's 500 in London, and in other boroughs of Montreal, like Huntsic and Rosemont, and they've just announced in Ville-Marie they're going to be doing it too. But Outremont's been kind of lacking in all of these things. It's been lacking in bike paths. It's been lacking in projects like these around schools. There's an election coming up, and we're really concerned about whether we're going to lose what progress we made.
What was the result when the road was closed? What changed?
Oh, it's great. So first of all, I mean, it was in June. The weather was great. So people poured into the streets. We set up badminton nets, and there was like a little bike repair workshop. There's a lot of Hasidic kids on that street, and they were able to play freely on their bicycles. Because when you close off one end of the one-way street, the whole street gets calmer. And all of a sudden, it was kind of like a suburban cul-de-sac. It turned into a really great place for about a month. And then during the summer, they took the barriers off, and it just became another one-way street where the cars ruled. But it was a big change. It's just a small change for one street in Outremont where, there's a lot of concerns about the security of kids.
There's always going to be a point where the actual road ends and the blocked off area begins. And so did it just, when they closed off that street, did it just migrate the problem to where the street was closed? Or did you notice that things changed in terms of people's calm behavior or when in their cars?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I mean, obviously, instead of hundreds of cars passing up that one-way street, there were only local residents were coming in. There's still on-street parking for them. They're allowed to access the street from the other end. So it became basically a two-way street north of there. And most of the people there have private driveways. So they could still get to their driveways. There was no problem with that. For the kids coming from the north end of the street, that was the worst part, because in the mornings there'd be cars rushing up the street. It was often parents, right, who were kind of distracted. They were on their way to work, and they wouldn't see the kids who were coming down. There were so many kids on the sidewalk or on bicycles on the sidewalk that they'd go out into the road, and that's where you got the conflict. So all of a sudden, those near crashes all disappeared. So a big win for children's safety. But there's controversy about this. The residents say some of the residents say we don't like the school street. We don't want to change our habits. I'm thinking, there's a couple of dozen residents on the street who didn't like it. Some of them did because all of a sudden their real estate values went up because they were on a very quiet street. And I was thinking there's like 1,000 kids who are like benefiting from this. The 900 kids in those three schools and the parents. And I was like, weighing the two, I'm on the side of the kids.
Yeah. Speaking with Taras Grescoe, a parent at a school in Outremont who managed to have the street closed in front of the school last July. It was in last June for a pilot project, and is now promoting this idea. You wrote an op-ed in the Globe and Mail about the experience, and when I read it, I thought a really interesting illustrative moment was the day they took off the barriers and reopened the road. Can you just describe what happened that day, what you saw that day? There was an incident with one vehicle in particular.
Yeah, no, I was going to school as I usually do with my youngest son, and the barriers had been removed, and all of a sudden the traffic was all back. And this one dude in a Communo tow, he felt impatient, and he went off the road and drove with two wheels up the sidewalk, the length of the street, like speeding, like at 60 kilometers an hour. And fortunately, there were no kids walking on the sidewalk at the time. But I was like, you know what? This is what we get when we allow the cars unfettered access. And is that safer than having the street blocked off during the school year? My conclusion was no. It's like everybody talks about making kids more active, getting them to walk or ride bikes to school. But parents say, you know what, I'd like to, but I can't because it feels unsafe. And in a lot of cases it is. And in a lot of cases it's because there's so many other parents driving the kids to school. So, by making it actually demonstrably safer around the school, this enables healthier behavior for kids. And, I just see it as a win-win. I'm just surprised that there's so much opposition to this, and it took so long for us to get the Outremont Borough Council to even try a pilot project. I mean, part of that is because they're Ensemble Montreal. They're been historically hesitant to do this kind of thing. But, they said they were willing to do it. Now we have a pilot project, but we're just not sure if it's going to be extended.
So the pilot project this year is from the start of the school year until October, and then I guess after that you have to wait and see if this is going to be a permanent thing.
Yeah, there's an election on November 2nd, so everybody's wondering whether they don't want to rock the boat too much and stir up too many residents. But among parents and children, for sure, this is a very, very popular project. All
right, Taras, I only have a couple seconds left, but I just have one more question for you, and it's just about, I wonder how much of an influence that tragic moment when that little girl Maria was killed on her way to school a few years ago, how much that influenced your sort of determination to fight to have this measure taken?
Yeah. I think she was 7 years old, recently arrived Ukrainian refugee girl. I mean, it didn't happen in our borough. It was in Ville-Marie, but I mean, that sparked a little bit of movement. Unfortunately, people move on, right, and forget about it until the next tragedy happens.
All right, Taras Grescoe, really appreciate your time in speaking with us.
Yeah, nice to talk to you, man.